Hey there, it's Lisa Miller. I'm here in Representative Jimmy Smith's office. We are watching fast and furiously all the happenings in the Senate. The House just adjourned about an hour or so ago, and it's very unusual. In my over 30 years in the process, we've rarely seen the House of Representatives leave so quickly. They weren't supposed to adjourn until Friday, but as you probably read in the newspaper, there's quite a bit of disagreement between the House and Senate with respect to Medicaid and how to pay for the uninsured. And so it's just been kind of taking over all the things and all the major policy issues in our state. And so today about 1 o'clock, the Speaker of the House said, "We're done," and hit the gavel on the podium, and out the door they went. The Senate is still going. I'm so sorry I can't be with you today, but I did not want, it's not safe to leave Tallahassee when any legislators are in town, and we have the Senate, of course, still in town. But I did want to share with you several things with respect to the assignment of benefit issue, which I know is very near and dear to each of you sitting in the audience. So many of you fight this issue. I stand beside you as you do it. We sit there and scratch our head about how in the world could our policymakers not see it as the crisis that we see it, because so many of you are on the front lines every day dealing with water extraction companies who are less than scrupulous, or others who are exacerbating this drain of our surplus and our ability to kind of keep our sanity about what is and is not a justifiable claim. With water claims and, of course, roofing claims. And many of us are experiencing an exponential increase in roof claims because it's easy for roofing companies to convince a homeowner that they need a new roof when they don't, and to have an assignment executed, and we all know the rest of the story. So I wanted to go over three main issues for you today with respect to assignments and how we were not able to get over the finish line. It's not from lack of trying. Hearing after hearing after hearing, we had testimony from those who had experienced being victims of assignments. We had those who experienced benefiting from assignments, the roofing companies, the mold companies, etc., back and forth and back and forth. But there were three reasons why I believe, personally, in my humble opinion, that we were not successful. And the first is that when Citizens did a presentation a couple of months ago and showed these incredible numbers and loss ratios specifically related to water, we thought, that's it. That underscores the problem, and that our policymakers would be moved. It did not move them. In fact, I had members say to me, legislators say to me, well, where's the data from your company? And it's very difficult to explain that, of course, individual companies don't want to provide that data on an individual or named basis because they, of course, could become targets themselves. Last year, several of us had worked on a spreadsheet, kind of a data call, if you will, through the task force, the Property and Casualty Fraud Task Force, to have insurance companies collect this data in kind of an aggregate anonymous basis. We did not have a lot of companies that participated in that, and so here we are in the 2015 session, and we just don't have enough private company data to show the severity of the problem. So that's the first issue, is that we didn't have enough to convince the legislators that it was more than just a citizens problem. Though I think the citizens problem should have been enough to convince them, but that's a story for another day. The second reason is that we had a wave of small business contractors, roofing companies, water extraction companies, and others, come to the podium and say that we would put them out of business. The legislature would put them out of business if we got rid of assignments. In this era of a jobs creation and our governor being so hot on creating an economic boom in our state, that did not resonate very well. So while we may have wanted to put some of these companies out of business, their stories seemed to resonate. And thirdly, and probably the most important reason, of course, was the political reason. I sat down with the chairman of the most important committee hearing these bills, and he isn't a lawyer, and he looked right at me and said, "Lisa, any tinkering with the attorney fee statute, which we all know is the holy grail, and the reasons behind the assignment insanity, any tinkering with that would be a non-starter." And I tried not to look in disbelief as he said that, because I knew that's what he would say, but I was hoping that the things that I presented to him and others had presented to him would sway him, but it did not matter, and he would refuse to allow the bills to proceed, which would have changed the way assignments were going to be used in our state. Secondly, I wanted you to know what was tried and what proposals were tried. First of all, we had a bill that would have limited how much assignments could be executed. The amount would have only been $3,000. And part of that bill had what were called balancing provisions, that while we would have limited assignments on one hand, we would have reduced the time frames companies had to pay claims on the other hand. We have a 90-day claims paying provision in statute now, and the bill would have reduced that to 45 days. I asked the sponsor of the bill, Representative Tobias. I looked right at him and I said, where did these reduction in time frames and other age-old provisions in statute that we've never had to change since they were put in statute in 2005 and 2006, where did the amendments or changes of that come from? And he very honestly said he wanted to create a balanced bill. And he did not want the $3,000 assignment limitation to look like it was just a present to the insurance industry. So that bill did not go anywhere. It was kind of a bittersweet bill because many of us supported the $3,000 limit on assignments, but we could not, in all actuality, support a reduction in an already compressed time frame, especially during catastrophic times. Lastly, what could we have done differently? And I've asked myself this, those of us in this process that work so hard year-round, talking to legislators, talking to staff, working with you as insurance company executives, gathering data, praying every day, doing what we can. What could we have done differently? And I think, again, we need to gather data. And I'm happy to work with you or Rebecca or those of you in the audience that worked with me so closely on that data collection spreadsheet that we had. That would have required many of you to go look file by file, but I think it would have been worth the effort to collect this aggregate data, and then we were going to take it to the Office of Insurance Regulation and ask them to ask us for it formally to keep that data confidential and out of the public record. Very much like we did when we did the data call for sinkhole back in 2010, and were able to get legislation passed to help us with that peril. Secondly, we have to engage the insurance agents. The insurance agent associations were very supportive, and their lobbyists would stand on the floor of the committee rooms and support assignment of benefit reforms, but we got to take that one step further. We've got to get insurance agents who are suffering for becoming preferred insurance agents because their loss ratios are tanking because of these assignment claims. Insurance agents that typically would never have had a significant problem with claims in their book of business are experiencing increase in claims because of these nefarious assignment claims, if you will, for both roofs and water. So I've talked to probably 15, 20, 25 agents who've said, what can I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? And so I'm working now with a team to put together a list of legislators and the insurance agents that are specifically in their area to get those agents to sit with those legislators and say, now you're tinkering with my preferred status with some great companies because my loss ratio is going to, excuse the expression, hell in a handbasket because of assignments. So that's another tactic in our arsenal that we will use this summer to see what we can get done in that regard. And lastly, we have to keep the media pressure on. I can't tell you the number of reporters that I would talk to who would scratch their head and not understand why the insurance company would want to take away the privilege of an insurance consumer to have an assignment and use who they want to. And so you'd have to spend a lot of time educating reporters. And as many of you know, you have to write the story for the reporter for them to get it right. And many good articles did come out, but it just wasn't enough. So gathering data, engaging the insurance agents, keeping the media pressure on, and getting ready for the January session. We have an early session in 2016. Certainly will be helpful. And I liken a lot of this to what happened with the flood insurance bill. For those of you that are following the flood insurance debate in our state, this is the second year in a row that Senator Jeff Brandes from Pinellas County, a tremendous leader in this effort, has passed a bill that would allow for a private primary flood insurance market in our state to provide choices for consumers other than just the National Federation of the National Flood Insurance Program. And that bill had several features to it, one of which has a section in it that would require the insurance agents to talk to the consumer about the fact that the consumer may not be able to go back into its subsidized rate. Many of the companies fought that agent disclosure issue because only 30% of rates are subsidized. But we believe in our heart of hearts, and no offense to any agents that may be in the room, that the agents did not want the primary private flood insurance bill to pass. And we typically call that a poison pill, which is what that bill has in it, the flood insurance bill. And we liken to what occurred in the Representative Tobias bill with the reduction in your ability to pay claims on a timeline 90 days to 45 days as a poison pill. So a lot of shenanigans going on. When legislation passes, we typically try to reach a compromise. We hope we can get the best of the best. We have a good flood insurance bill with that one particular piece of it that kind of disturbs everyone. And then we have, now no assignment of benefits bill, and we hope that we have one next year coming soon. And I actually see Representative Smith coming my way, so I'm going to close out this video and thank you for being there and caring so much about what we can do for the state of Florida. Enjoy the conference, and I'll stay in touch with you all. Thank you.